Hello and welcome to another session in English language. And today we're going to focus on prefixes and negation. We're going to focus on stress pattern and creative writing. But before all of that, let us review the previous lesson. Welcome back. So like I said, we're going to focus on what you call prefixes and negation. Okay, so prefixes and negation, we mean that we add certain word elements to a particular word and it alters the meaning of that word entirely. For instance, if I have extra, which is outside to the word marital, it becomes extra marital. It means outside marriage. If I add X to any word, most times it alters the meaning of that word. So if I add X, which means out of, to official, becomes ex official. That is out of official. If I have the word inter plus the word marry, inter means between or among. It means intermarry. Okay? Then we have trans, which means across. If I add that word to Atlantic, it becomes transatlantic, across Atlantic. We have post, which is after. We could have postmortem. We could have postnatal. Okay? Then we have pre, which means before. We could have pre-colonial, which means before the advent of colonialism. Okay? So let's move on to the next lesson. So we have prefixes, okay, like super, which means above. So when you say you are superhuman, it means your abilities are above humans. Then when you say sub means below. Substandard means below standard. Then we have anti, which is before. And anteroom, we have antenatal, which is before the birth of your child, the treatment you get before the birth of your child. Then we have anti, which means against, and we have antisocial. But we have negation suffixes. Okay, when you have less to child becomes childless, less to father becomes fatherless, less to use become useless, less to heart become heartless, less to penny become penniless, less to care becomes careless. All these words are positive, but the moment we introduce less to them, it alters their meaning. So, we talked about pluralization suffixes. We have babies, flies, cases, boxes, so many of them like that. So, we are looking at all of these things so that we can strengthen our knowledge on prefixes and negation. So let's move further to speech work, okay, on stress pattern. So this time around, we focus on two-syllable words. Two-syllable words. Now, words with two syllables that are stressed on the first syllable. I repeat. Words that are two-syllable words that are stressed on the first syllable. And don't forget, the syllable that receives the stress is pronounced longer, is pronounced louder, and the pitch of your voice is higher. So we have the word basic, credit, Christian, fortune, hatred, captain, stupid, solemn, color, certain, period, Hamlet, Victor, mansion. So these are examples of two-syllable words that are stressed on the first syllable, but there are exceptions to these, like begin. So when a two-syllable word contains a prefix the stress falls on the second syllable. Begin, between, before, inform, away, engage, inspire, enough, include, despite. So then we have the second rule, that when a two-syllable word, could double as a noun and also as a verb, the noun is stressed on the first syllable while the verb is stressed on the second syllable. I repeat, when a two-syllable word can double as a noun and also a verb, the noun is stressed on the first syllable while the verb is stressed on the second syllable. Now look at this example. We have consent. Then this is consent. Then this is import. Then this is import. Then this is reform. And this is reform. Okay? So with that, I believe practice would increase your skill level to perfection. So let's move on to what we have next, which is creative writing. Now, creative writing has to do with writing stories. Okay? And story writing requires most times your imagination. You don't necessarily need to have a real experience of that. You only need to be creative when you are writing. So stories can be real and they can be imaginary. Okay? But however, the climax of your story must arouse the interest of your reader. In other words, we are saying when you're writing, please, the events should be chronological. For instance, the title, It's a Man's World. It's a man's world. If you have to write on this topic, it's a man's world. You should have a story that revolves around men taking over in every area of life. Okay, you can't just be writing It's a Man's World and you just write It's a Man's World, It's a Man's World. No, you have to have stories of successful men who have excelled in life, who have that success drive, who have that passion to succeed. So you must have stories like that. Alright? Now, like every narrative essay, you should use the simple past tense frequently. Okay? So you should use the simple past tense frequently, especially when you are writing a story. Okay? Because the event had taken place. Okay? So please be careful on your choice of tenses. So I would encourage that you write a story on this title, It's a Man's World, and you see how far you have improved on writing. Thank you very much for joining this session. In order to refresh your memory and recall all that has been learned today, I would encourage that you take the test that pops up on your screen now.